Hello, Packers fans, wherever you may be. It's time for another Pack Attack Cast video for fans from fans. And as always, we're here to give you the latest breaking news and also give you some better depth about your Green Bay Packers. So, first of all, I want to touch on some news that just broke today on Thursday, May 27th. And this is a huge development for a matter that is critical to the importance of the Green Bay Packers' success this year. In fact, if this player is healthy for the whole season, this might be the X factor that turns a really good team into a Super Bowl team. So fingers crossed that we're getting a good development here. According to Matt Schneidman of The Athletic, the Green Bay Packers have offered Jaire Alexander a restructured contract, but an agreement has not been reached, and Alexander's status for the 2025 season remains in limbo, even if signs are pointing in the right direction. This is huge news. This team significantly upgrades with the addition of a healthy Jaire Alexander. A restructured contract offer from the Packers is a sign the team wants to keep him at a safer price point, which Schneidman reports Alexander wants to be in Green Bay, considering reporting to OTAs and mandatory minicamp regardless of whether a contact agreement has been reached. If nothing else, it appears the two sides have increasingly aligned goals for the 2025 season, and although the contract is a major hurdle, along with his injury history, hopefully the two parties are heading towards reconciliation. So this is huge news. There's been unofficial reports that basically the Green Bay Packers before the draft did not give Jaire Alexander a restructured contract because they didn't think he would consider it. The fact that the Green Bay Packers are now providing Jaire with a restructured contract means that both sides have had enough discussion to reach common ground that they're very open to working together, at least for the 2025 season. So I would love to see this contract get worked out in the next week or so that Jaire can join OTAs and mandatory minicamp when it comes up at the start of June. OTAs actually did start today and will be going on for 3 days. I do not expect Jaire Alexander will be at the OTAs this week, but I'd love to see a situation where this contract is reached and maybe the next batch of OTAs, Jaire Alexander, can get back around the team. The off-season program is extremely important for teams and coaches to develop a connection and teamwork. So it's very important that Jaire gets into camp. Even though there's voluntary OTAs, he does have bonuses attached to joining the OTAs. So what would it happen if Jaire Alexander showed up today or for mandatory minicamp, but the contract has not been signed? There's no way the Green Bay Packers would let Jaire practice on the playing field. He can attend meetings, he can meet with his coaching staff, he can meet with his teammates, but I would not expect him to actually see the practice field until a new contract is signed. So maybe this will get done before the start of training camp, or he'll show up at training camp and participate in everything except being on the field while they work out the last details. It does sound to me, if this information is getting out now, that they're probably very close to getting a contract finalized. So I'm very excited about this news. So hopefully, fingers crossed. A lot of people were saying we didn't add enough in the offseason. Adding Jaire Alexander as a healthy player could be adding a Pro Bowl player to this roster. So I'm very excited about the potential for this news. Now, I want to shift to our main topic for today. And our main topic today stems from the video I posted over the weekend where I talked about how the Green Bay Packers coaching staff is really an additional X factor that a lot of the pundits and analysts are not really taking into account, and a lot of analysts are really sleeping on the Green Bay Packers based on the quality of what their coaching staff and management staff brings to the table. And I think the unique culture of Green Bay, by not having an owner that is really stepping on the toes of the coaching staff, and the fact that the Green Bay Packers have amazing continuity on their staff, is a real X factor that I think is going to bring a lot to the table come the NFL season this year. And now, with the possibility of adding Jaire Alexander back into the fold, I have every confidence that this team is going to reach the playoffs and have a successful playoff run. And I think the chances are really good that they can make it to the Super Bowl this year. So what I want to do now is I'm going to share my screen here. And we're going to talk about, per request, I got this request via email for some people that saw my video over the weekend and wanted some greater depth as far as what each coach does for the Green Bay Packers. So we're actually going to look at the front office, the coaching staff, and what they do on an individual level. So the most important thing that your average fan might not realize is, for an NFL team, for every hour on the field, there are hundreds of hours off the field of preparation, film study, playbook development. For every hour, your Green Bay Packers staff is putting in hundreds of hours of work and dedication, and that's the staff and the players that are doing both of these things. So once mini camp and training camp starts, this coaching staff is putting in 12 to 14-hour days. In fact, I once saw a NFL coach say, when you're starting out as a coach in the NFL, you're putting in 20 hours a day to get all of your work done. So think about that. Every coach is putting in that time and effort. The players are hopefully putting in maybe half that time and effort, because you also have to give the players recovery and rest time that the coaching staff doesn't necessarily need on a daily basis. So this coaching staff is putting in 14 to 20 hours a day. So we really need to appreciate what this coaching staff and front office bring to this team and how that adds value to the players on the field. And again, the Green Bay Packers are a very special and unique team because they're owned by the city of Green Bay and stockholders, and they're not controlled and managed by one fat cat, if you will, that is going to stick his nose into it, be overly involved with the offense. And that's the part of the reason the Green Bay Packers have such continuity in their front office and coaching staff is the fact that Mark Murphy, who's the current president and chief executive officer, here he is right here, he has a very hands-off approach when it comes to the day-to-day management of the team. He lets the coaching staff and the personnel staff manage the team, and he handles things by and large outside of that. So let's take a look at Mark Murphy first. He is the president and chief executive officer. Important note here, Mark Murphy will be leaving the post of president and CEO at 2025 because he will reach the age of 70, and he will be replaced by Ed Policy, probably at the owners' meeting, which is coming up in the middle of July, is where we'll have a formal official handing of the torch. So, primary responsibilities of the president and chief executive officer of the Green Bay Packers. He's the chief executive officer. The buck stops here. He is, at the end of the day, responsible to the city of Green Bay and the shareholders for the product on the field. He's in particularly responsible for the well-being of the franchise from a financial standpoint. He's involved in community relations, negotiations with sponsors, the city of Green Bay, vendors, and other parties that do, there's a typo there, do business with the team. I'm actually editing this while we go through it. Overall, high-level management of football operations. He's responsible for special events, like the team recently held the 2025 NFL Draft. Mark was working on getting the NFL Draft to Green Bay for 15 plus years. So it was a real accomplishment to get the draft in Green Bay this year. He's also responsible for hiring the senior staff for football and non-football operations. So that is what Mark Murphy brings to the table. Next up, let's look at the player personnel. Now, important to note, Brian Gutekunst is the general manager for your Green Bay Packers, but he has a whole staff of people below him that help him on a day-to-day basis. And for each of the people that we talk about, they have a staff supporting them. And I would love to do a video about what each single staff member does for each of these people, but nobody's going to watch that. So let's be realistic. We're talking about high-level picture of what each staff does. So when I talk about Brian, I'm also talking about everybody in the personnel team that works for him on a day-to-day basis. So please keep this in mind. It's a complete team approach for Green Bay. So Brian Gutekunst is the general manager. His primary responsibilities are the primary decision maker for all personnel decisions. Now he's going to talk to the coaching staff and Mark Murphy, and they work collaboratively to make decisions on personnel. But at the end of the day, it's Brian's job to make decisions on every player on the roster. So he has to do roster management, player relations, player negotiations, salary cap management, public relations. He is one of the public faces of the Green Bay Packers and regularly speaks to the press, coordinating with the coaching staff to see what they need on the field, and keeping abreast of player development. Trades, big part of his job, both off-season and in-season. He's directly responsible for those. Responsible for managing the scout unit for the Green Bay Packers. You have to remember, the scouts for the Green Bay Packers are working 365 days a year. They're out on the road. They're going to college games. They're meeting with college staffs. They're going to college practices. They're directly involved with getting all the information that Brian needs for the NFL draft. Or if they're looking at free agents, the scouting unit will be responsible for looking at their notes on players that are free agents and giving input as to whether Brian should be talking to those free agents. So as you can see, Brian has a full table of things that he needs to do as the general manager for the Green Bay Packers. All right, let's go on to what my wife says is the hottest looking coach in the NFL. I don't see it. I'm not really into judging the look of dudes, but every time she sees Matt LaFleur on the sideline, she loves him no matter what he does as far as play calling. So Matt LaFleur, head coach of the Green Bay Packers. In our previous video, we talked about how amazing he is and what he does for this team. But let's talk about all of the tasks that Matt LaFleur has, and they are a number of them. Matt LaFleur has one of the busiest jobs in the building for the Green Bay Packers. So he is the public face of the franchise. He's responsible for the overall tone and culture of the team, management of the coaching staff on a daily basis, inspiring the team to achieve. So one of the things I love about Matt LaFleur, and if you go to Packers.com, you can find the videos. Matt LaFleur has some of the best post-game speeches and efforts to enthuse his team that I have ever seen. Win or lose, he's always, after the game, giving positive affirmations to the coaching staff and to the players. And this is a big part of Matt LaFleur's value added to this team beyond the X's and O's of the playbook. He is a great motivator and teacher, and that should not be underestimated. So after this video, go to Packers.com and watch some of those post-game videos about him talking to the team, handing out team balls, telling the team what they did well. He really is a great motivator. Next up, we have playbook development. So Matt LaFleur is responsible for the overall playbook for the Green Bay Packers. Most modern NFL coaches manage one side of the ball, and Matt LaFleur is 100% responsible for the offensive playbook. At the same time, he still gets the defensive playbook from Jeff Hafley, and they work out what they want to do with the defense, and they put together the defensive playbook together so they have an overall playbook. But make no mistake, the offensive playbook for the Green Bay Packers is Matt LaFleur's baby. It's one of the strengths that he brings to the table. He's responsible for team discipline. We've had players step out of line, especially last year with Romeo Doubs being suspended for one game. But Matt LaFleur did an amazing job of keeping that private and in-house, settling things with Romeo Doubs, giving him the discipline of a one-day suspension or a one-week suspension, and then letting it go and letting Romeo Doubs be a productive member of the team without any drama. Some coaches could have done a longer suspension, could have blackballed the player, kept him on the bench the rest of the year, but Matt LaFleur did a great job of dealing with that player discipline situation and turning it into a positive for the team. He's responsible for high-level player relations. He doesn't talk to every player on a daily basis, but if there's a problem with a player or a player needs some special attention from the coach, Matt will do that. Film review. Everybody on this staff, whether it's the personnel staff or the coaching staff, will spend thousands of hours every year on film review. It is a big part of what they do. Matt LaFleur is definitely integral to that review, not only of opponents, but of his own players in between games to make adjustments. Quality control of the product on the field, I think that speaks for itself. He's also responsible for scouting the next opponent and adjusting the game plan for that opponent. Really should have double-checked this before I did the video. But I am actually releasing the video a day earlier than I planned because I wanted to get to the Jaire Alexander news. So forgive the typos on my script here. Next up, we have Adam Stenavich. He's the offensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. As we said, Matt LaFleur is responsible for the offensive playbook, but Adam is involved with working with Matt LaFleur on that playbook. He's responsible for quality control for the offense, scouting the next opponent and adjusting the gameplay for that opponent, film review, assisting in the management of position coaches, working with the position coaches to teach the offense, and has called plays in the preseason. I expect Adam will also do play calls in the preseason as well this year, because I think that's part of his development to eventually get a full offensive coordinator role in the future, where he is in charge of calling the plays in the regular season. Next up, we have Jeff Hafley. He's the defensive coordinator. He develops the defensive playbook and gets buy-in from Matt LaFleur, as we talked about earlier. Teach the playbook to both position coaches and the players. Player development on the defensive side of the ball. Watching film, managing the position coaches on defense, player relations, and he is a public face of the team. Win or lose, he goes up to the podium along with the other primary coaches. Next up, we have the position coaches. So this goes for any position coach on the team. Wide receiver, running back, linebacker, defensive end, special teams. All these position coaches have very similar responsibilities, and they're very integral to taking the game plan and the bigger picture and narrowing it down for each position group. So position coaches are responsible for player development at the position level, teaching player technique, teaching the playbook on a position level, and watching film of their players to give them enhancements and tips, and looking at the next opponent. So as you can see, this coaching staff, as I said, puts in hundreds of hours for every hour that's on the field. And the fact that our coaching staff has such great continuity is going to, again, give us a big advantage, as I talked about in our previous video. So that's going to wrap it up for today. I'm going to have another video probably in the next day or so. We're going to look at the news and notes from the OTAs and see what that brings to the table as we look at this coaching staff and players as they develop in the off season. Thanks again for watching this video. Please give us a like and subscribe. We're trying to grow this channel. I'd love to get this channel to 5,000 subscriptions by the time we start the NFL season. I'll also be giving you continuous Packer content. I will be attending games and giving you instant reaction to games. And I'm trying to give you as much insights both on players and coaches as I can as you root on your Green Bay Packers. And as always, go Pack Go, and we'll see you next video.